So good evening, hello everyone. Today we are discussing scatter diagrams, which is a subtopic under our topic of rank correlation and regression. We are still trying to determine the relationship between values, how they vary. Last year, in our previous videos, we broadcasted how to calculate a particular correlation coefficient. Then after determining the correlation coefficient, we were able to draw comment. Now today we are going to use graphical method to determine our relationship, which is going to be from the graph we shall be able to draw a conclusion out of the graph. So the aim or the purpose of drawing what we call a scatter diagram, it is going to be simply a graph. However, we are going to be in this topic plotting values of data whose relationship, like in the previous video, we determined the relationship. We either say there was a positive high, there was a low, negative correlation. Today, we are going to first plot and come up with a graph. Then after, we shall draw a conclusion of using our graph or using what we witness on our graph. And we shall either say it is a positive correlation or a negative correlation or a neutral correlation, as we are going to see in our example. Okay members, now we cross on to the example. We want to draw the line of the scatter diagram, and in our example they are telling us the points scored by 8 houses A to H in music and drama competition, where we have the school, drama, and then music. So school A scored 50 in drama, then 120 in music. School B scored 27 in drama, 130 in music. School C scored 27 in drama, 132 in music. School D scored 11 in drama, then we are very good in music, 150. E 50, 121, F 20, 140, G 60, 130, and then H is 25, 136. We are requested to draw a scatter diagram and use it to compare the house performance in music and drama. So to draw a scatter diagram, we have said it is simply a graph. Step one, we consider these ones as points, just as we could have been plotting in any graph. So I can consider A, I have the x coordinate being 50, then the y coordinate 120. Then B, I have 27 and then 130. Then we have C, we have our school C being 27 and 132. Then we have school D 11 and then 150. Our school E, we shall have 50 and then 121. Then school F, and then you have 20 and 140. We have school G 60, 130. School H lastly comes with 25 and then 136. So we are saying if you are to draw the scatter diagram, first of all consider these ones as points, just as we used to do in our primary school in O level. I'm taking this to be my X and then this to be my Y. So after knowing that these are coordinates, I'm going to come and have my graph. I will have my y-axis, then I'll have the x-axis. This is going to be my y-axis, and y I'm choosing to put there music, and then on x I'm choosing to put there drama. That is simply what we do to draw the scatter diagram. My title is going to be a scatter diagram. Your graph must have the title, and then after the title, your graph should have well-labeled axis. Just as we always draw graphs, you choose any scale that you want, you feel like it will fit the values you want. When I look at my x values, I have 50, I have 27, 27, 11, 50, 20, 60, 25. So I can choose to start with 10 here, and then I will move on to 20, then move on to 30, move on to 40, move on to 50, move on to 60, and then lastly 70. Then when I want to go to cross over to my, here it is not necessary that you must start with 0. I'm choosing to start with 10. However, maintain a uniform scale throughout your values. I'm adding on 10, 10 on the horizontal scale. Then crossing to my y values, the range is from 120, 130, 132, 150. The biggest value is 150. So I can choose to start with 100. And when you look at your graph paper, if you go on adding on 5, 5, your graph paper gives you the capacity to have all your values. So what I'm saying, I'll have 100 first here, then you go to 105. All I can start even with 110 can work. Let me start with 110 instead of 100. Then you go to 115, close to 120, 125, and then 130. Then we shall have 135. Then we shall have 140. Then we shall have 145. Then 150. I recommend if you have a graph paper, you consider a scale of 10 small squares to represent 5. If you are following our example on a graph paper, on the vertical scale, then 10 small squares to represent 10 on the horizontal scale. So after calibrating our graph like this, we can go ahead and plot the values. And what we shall come up with after plotting the values is what we are going to call the scatter diagram. So I have 50 and then corresponding to 120. So I will have my 120 and 50. I hope the value will be around here. You have a better thing. You try to follow on the graph paper. You have at least a graph which is well labeled. So this becomes my first point. Then I cross on to the next point, 27 and 130. So I will look for 27. It's going to be between 20 and 30, and then look for 130. 130 is around here. I'm going to plot along with 27. For you, you can have your scale well calibrated on the graph. Then we move on to 27 and 132, just above 130 here. We shall have another point there, and that will be 27 and 132. We go to the next one like that. We shall have 11 and 150. 11 will be here next to 10, and we shall have our 11 here. 11, and then it corresponds to 150. We plot our value there. This will be the point. We go ahead and have our 50 and 121. 50, 121 will be just above 120, and then we shall have our point around here, and we plot. I hope we all know how to plot. We go ahead and have 20 and 140. So we shall have 20 here, and then we have 140 here. So our point is going to be around here. We are simply plotting like we did in our primary 6 or 7. So we have 60 and 130. 60 and 130. We look for 60. It is here. And then 130 will be up here. So I hope you try to follow plot on a graph. For me, my board is not a table, but for you have. So that will be 60 assuming and 130. And lastly we have 25 and 136. So 25 will be around here before 27, please. And then we look for 136 just above 135. So this one becomes our point, will be around here. You are free to plot using a dot or a cross. Now after plotting this graph, you have your values, and after you are requested to compare. So this is simply what they call the scatter diagram. What you see, if you are only requested to plot a scatter diagram, that becomes your answer. And in most cases, you get 6 marks for simply doing this. However, we are told to go ahead and compare the house performance in music and drama. So you look at how your values are ranging. When you look at these values, we have a value here, then our values are going down low. So the values are going this end. And if we are to go ahead and do part B, what is called draw a line of best fit. we want to cross on to draw a line of best fit. We have said when you look at values, you can simply comment, but let us also include the line of best fit so that we have our conclusion and everyone is able to see why we are saying the conclusion is what we shall say. Now, to draw a line of best fit, what we do, we come and get the average value of the x values and of the y value. To get average value, we can call it x bar. It is going to be the sum of x values divided by the number of values. So in our case, this side we shall add 50 plus, we get 27. You can use your calculator. Plus 27 plus 11 plus 50 plus 20 plus 60 plus 25. You can simply use your calculator, divide by the values. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 80 values. You use your calculator and get the value. When I use my calculator here, what I'm going to have, we have 50 plus 27. We have 50 plus 27 plus 27 plus 27. The average value is 33.75. Confirm with what you have. 50 plus 27 plus 27 plus 11 plus 50 plus 20 plus 60 plus lastly 25 divided by 8. The average is 33.75. However, since we are going to plot, it is acceptable to round off to the nearest whole number or 1dp, because all we want is to get the average. You do the same for y. Our y bar now will be the sum of y values divided by n. Here I'm requesting us, let us just use the calculator. We get our 120 plus 130 plus 132 plus 150 plus 121 plus 140 plus 130 plus 136. We add, then divide by 8. Our total is the total is 1059. 1059. That becomes our total. We have 1059 divided by 8. Our y bar goes ahead to give us 132.375, which is approximately 133. So we come up with the average point, which we are going to call m, and our m is going to be x bar, y bar, which our m now is, m as coordinates, we have our m as 34, 133. So you also come and plot that point. They are saying do this if you are requested to draw a line of best fit. So I'm going to come and look out for 134, for 34 and then 133, which point is going to be around here, 34, then 133, and I will have to plot that point around there. Please do it accurately on your graph paper and follow this example properly. So this point here becomes my point M on my graph. Which point M we are saying? M is the average value point. You label it 34, 133. You do this if you are asked to draw. Then you get your ruler. From your little knowledge of physics, a line of best fit must balance the points. Now there are very many ways of drawing. However, we said these points are sloping downwards. So our line of best fit is going to have a negative slope, but must leave the same number of points up and down. So when you draw your graph, in this case, my line of best fit is going to pass around here in this point and then balance. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 points up, 1, 2, 3, 4 points up. This becomes my line of best fit, and that is how we draw a scatter diagram. And from the line, we see that there is a negative slope. We could also observe it from our values just by seeing. Now, when you draw a line of best fit and there is a negative slope, or if you can observe it using your eyes, you simply come and say that your comment, you comment at the bottom that there is a negative correlation. When you do that, you get all your 12 marks or 10 depending on the question. So with the scatter diagrams, life is easy. That becomes our first example. Thank you for tuning in. Opposing those topics.